All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about what Danny Garcia, who is about to fight Jose Benavidez Sr., had to say about Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford and his upcoming fight. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. We are going to be in the 147-pound division for this video, talking about what Danny Garcia had to say about his upcoming fight and what he has to say about being in the ring with Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford and what those dudes need to be worried about in that fight. Now, before I get into the video, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are a longtime subscriber, thank you so much for continuing to watch the channel. Thank you for your support. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button so that you can be notified of when we release more videos. All right, so guilty as charged. Want to see the Errol Spence Jr. versus Terence Crawford fight. So I'm interested in everything related to that fight. Right now, it's not a particularly exciting time in boxing, but we do have a few fights coming up that are going to be entertaining and that people want to talk about and people want to see. I think one of those fights is the Danny Garcia fight against Jose Benavidez, which is coming up in not too long. And he's starting to go around and do interviews, Danny Garcia, that is, interviews about the fight. The fight should be entertaining. I don't see how it cannot be a good fight. Both of those guys are excellent fighters, have been at the championship level before. Well, at least Danny Garcia was. Not so much with Jose Benavidez, but you know what it is. It should be a good fight. Danny Garcia is always really fun to watch. But in the middle of the interview, he was asked about the fight that most people are interested in, right? And interested in for a good reason. And that is because that fight between Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford is everything that everybody has been wanting to see for years. And there is a real drought of that type of fight in boxing, where you have two guys that are pretty much universally considered to be two of the best fighters in boxing. Both of them are guys that bring a lot of excitement to the ring, a lot of technical skill to the ring. You have both of these guys have fan bases that have been at each other for years for the fight. And as a result, there are a lot of people that want to talk about the fight and pretty much are high. I don't know of a fight that has been this more highly anticipated since Floyd Mayweather Jr. versus Manny Pacquiao. The difference between the two of those fights, between the Manny Pacquiao Floyd Mayweather Jr. fight and the Terence Crawford Errol Spence Jr. fight, is that these guys are closer to their prime, and there's not a sense that their best days may be behind them as you go into the fight. It's almost like a perfect time to make that fight. So Danny Garcia was, again, just like everybody's being asked in any interview that they're having these days, what do you think about that fight? And Danny Garcia, unlike a lot of other people who, kind of hedge one way or another way, said, look, man, this is a 50-50 fight. However, he was asked about what it's like to actually be in the ring and fight Errol Spence Jr. And he was like, look, man, that guy is very, very strong mentally. He's somebody that is going to come in there, throw 100 punches around, and over the course of that fight, he will break you down and he will hurt you. He talks about Terence Crawford and says, look, Terence Crawford is somebody that's mentally, very, very mentally strong. He wants to fight really, really bad, right? But that's where I am with it, and I've maintained that that's why I've picked Errol Spence. I think Errol Spence Jr. has the edge in that fight, is because when you listen to what Danny Garcia had to say about Errol, he was talking about something very practical, something very, very much, very, very tangible. How many punches he throws in the round, his approach to the fight, his ability to break people down, over the long haul. That's why I lean towards Errol Spence Jr., because I can see in the ring clearly seeing a way that he would go about beating any fighter that cannot handle that pressure. And I don't know necessarily if what is said about Terence Crawford from Danny Garcia, whether or not that really works well with the style of Errol, where it's somebody that really wants it bad, that is going to fight, right? Because he's going to come to fight. If Errol Spence Jr. is pressing Terence Crawford is going to press right back. You've seen that pretty much in every fight Terence Crawford has had. When push comes to shove, Terence Crawford shoves, right? Terence Crawford can fight he can do all kind of different things, but the very basic nature of Terence Crawford as a fighter is that he is just that. He is a fighter. So when you have somebody that is a pressure fighter versus somebody that is, that has a tendency to engage, when you engage with them, you're going to basically get what Danny Garcia says. Like, you're going to have big exchanges going on in that fight. And the thing with big exchanges going on in that fight is that unless Terence Crawford can hurt Errol Spence Jr., then those exchanges from Errol Spence Jr. just keep going on and on and on and on and on. It's like that record, it's like it don't stop, right? And that's what you saw when he fought Yordenis Ugas. Yordenis Ugas was in there and was willing to exchange with them, was willing to fight on the inside, with them. He would get a big shot here, get a big shot there, but pretty much without exception, every time he threw a big shot, big stuff came right back at him, right? And it kept coming at him, wind up being able to break him down. So, like other people have said, if Terence Crawford cannot find a way to really push Errol Spence Jr. back, really do something to him in that first 6 rounds, I think that it is going to be a situation where as the fight goes on, you wind up seeing Terence Crawford getting broken down to a degree. And even if he's not getting broken down to a degree, or as severe, because everybody's going to slow down in the fight as it goes. Any sport, when you're exerting that much energy, things are going to slow down over time. The question is whether or not when Terence Crawford slows down or he takes his breaks and Errol's still pressing, if Errol's going to be scoring a lot of points and getting a lot of rounds in the bank while that takes place. But again, when Danny Garcia says that, he says, look, man, this guy right here is a big pressure fighter. Comes in there, bringing all that pressure, breaking you down. And then Terence Crawford is somebody that is going to come with a lot of heart and is going to fight back. And there's going to be basically big exchanges. And he said, everybody's going to have their moments, ebbs and flows. Right. But Errol Spence Jr. ebb just continues to flow. And that's what kind of makes it for me. Now, again, conversation is the biggest conversation in boxing. No need to apologize for wanting to talk about a fight that comes around once every decade. It's just what people want to talk about, man. And it's the most interesting thing in boxing. And it is what it is, man. You can like it or you can lump it. But I hope that you like the channel. Please subscribe, support the channel if you would not mind. If you're a longtime subscriber and supporter, thank you so much for your support. And with that, I'm out. Peace.